Welcome back to another episode of Macca Mondays, episode 4, so I must be doing something right if you're still watching. So today I thought I'd show you around my 105. So I've had the car for about 2 years now, and since then it's come a very long way. I brought the car completely stock. There was nothing done to it except it had all-terrain tyres and it had the LPG already installed and ready to go. And everything else that you see right here is stuff that I've chosen to put on myself, which is what I'd recommend in buying. I'd buy a stock four-wheel drive. You get to do your own build. You get to put the things that you want, and I wouldn't put it all on straight away. I'll put the basics on, drive the car, learn what you need and what suits you best, whether it's a 2-inch lift or 4-inch lift, whether you're more of a comp setup, a tough sort of setup, or more of a touring sort of setup, where I've tried to go for a combination of everything. So it's a daily car, it's got built for the tough tracks, it's built to live out of and all that sort of thing. So to give you a quick rundown on exactly what it is, it's a 1998 105 series Land Cruiser. It differentiates from the 100 series. It is a live axle, where the 100 series is the first IFS Land Cruiser to be made, and the 105 was only sold in Australia and 2 other countries to my knowledge. It has a 4.5 litre straight 6 petrol, obviously with the LPG as well for better fuel economy, and it's basically very similar to the likes of the 80 series, being coils all round and solid front and rear axles. So starting with the front of the car, just like any four-wheel drive has to have a bull bar. That's probably that, the snorkel and the roof racks were the first things that I got. Bull bar also came with the winch, cheap insurance like I've mentioned before in my first video. Also on the bull bar I've got my spotlights. I got these from Steady. I wanted something about mid-range. I didn't want to get something cheap and nasty, but I didn't want to spend $800 per light, something like that, and get ripped off. But on the front I did opt for the cheap option of the Supercenter light bars. It was sitting in the garage that I originally bought for my old car, but ended up getting this car instead. If we walk over to here, I've got my communications, like I ran you guys through on the last video, just your UHF antenna and your AM/FM whip. Just like the bull bar, one of the other central modifications you want to have before you go off-road would have to be the snorkel. This is just more of a standard snorkel. So as you can see, the roof racks are probably a bit loaded up being on holidays. So what I also got on the roof racks is the Max Tracks, which are handy. They're just handy to have on the roof for any time. I've used them on the sand in the dunes and stuff like that. They're also, I can use them to mount my high lift jack off as a bit of a platform, and of course the shovel on the top, which is always handy to have the big full shovel instead of just a small tiny fold out shovel. So eventually the time came where I needed a lift and obviously bigger tyres, where I originally had the dream for like a 4-inch lift or something like that, but just to get me through I've got a 2-inch lift in at the moment with just coils and shocks, which from Tough Dog, which have provided very good. On the front I've got the bar and winch combo. They don't sort of have a weight category for the front, they just classified on what you have, whether you have no bar work or bar work and winch as well. And on the back I've got 500 kilo extra constant loads, hence because of the rear bar alone weighs 80 kilos and a lot of weight in the back. It really started to sit down on the stock suspension, so I knew I needed to beef it up with something nice and strong. And she still handles beautifully. It's not all too bouncy or handles horribly because the springs aren't overkill or anything like that. They're actually worked out to be perfect. As far as tyres go, I'm running the Federals. I don't really know how to pronounce the actual Coragia or something like that. Can never get it right. Obviously I'm not on the factory rims. I've got the Sunraysias as well. So on the back of the car I've got the Rock Armour 4x4 rear bar, and if you want a more in-depth view on this bar specifically and what I like and what's good and what's not good about it, I've also, my second video, if you haven't seen it already, is all about the rear bar, so go take a look just up here. Moving back up to the roof racks, I did get the King's awning, absolute bargain, 114 bucks, works for me every time. Jay didn't get one. I was kind of gave him a bit of a hard time about it. It's no brainer, why wouldn't you get a King's awning? Everyone's got one. So my next modification, which is on the list and has been on the list for a long time, sort of just a matter of saving up for it, would be the scrub bars and rock sliders down the side. As you can see, it has no factory side steps. So moving down here, you can see this is one of the key consequences for not having the rock sliders or the scrub bars or side steps at all, for that matter. And like I said, depends on the driving you do. Obviously, if you're doing a touring, sort of more just touring, you might not need them, but for the type of driving that I sometimes do, some of the rougher, tougher tracks that kind of do need stuff like this to prevent this. And they're sort of all covered right up to the handle here, but we managed to pop half of it out, and this part sort of permanently grafted itself in. That's the way it wants to be now. No plans to get a new door anytime soon. Just wear it with pride, I guess. So as you can see with the interior, there's probably not too much going on in here either. Pretty much all I've done is I've put the seat covers on, probably a must have if you want to save your seats. I've also put the my UHF is also here. Nice little compact unit with the microphone here. Personal preference, don't like buttons on the mic, so it's just nice and simple to use. Change channels down there, hangs up right there. I've got the TomTom just up over here, which I use because I was getting speeding fines because the 33s sort of knocked the speedo a fair way out of whack. Future plans in here would definitely have to be, I want to replace the factory head unit with something a bit nicer, as I do get a bit of interference from the phone, even with the whip I've got on the bull bar. I also want to get a HEMA mapping unit over on the passenger side, just above the glove box there, make it a bit better, a bit easier to navigate around. So there's the 105 in a nutshell, nice and brief. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Building 70s if you haven't already. Also, if you do have any further questions about the car, you can also pop me a follow and a message on my Instagram just up the top there. And hopefully to see you guys soon again next time. Enjoy the holidays.